Karen, stop printing hard copies of that.
Oh, I have some of
can
those
have this
too.
one.
No, I have some of those, sorry, I have these too.
Oh, perfect.
Craig, I'm so on it.
Book sale.
And we have hard copies of the
sorry.
agenda if you want. You have that
I
already.
do have it
Lisa,
already.
Perfect.
There you go.
excuse me one second, Lisa, Jim's gonna bring the big signboard up for you tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, we're ready to start. So I'm going to officially call the Monday, February 26th, 2024, the Select Board meeting to order. I'm going to start with a few announcements. We have a very exciting library book sale on 3/1 to 3/3, Friday from 6 to 8 p.m., but that's a special, you have to be a member of the Library Friends to go there. That's a preview sale. The rest of us get to go on Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. or Sunday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And it looks like Sunday is the bag sale. So I think you can fill up stuff in your bag and take what you want. I've donated books that I bought 10 years ago, so they're back. It's just a vicious cycle. My kid will probably buy one. All right. So there's all sorts of things, books, games, DVDs, CDs, puzzles, everything. We have an Easter egg hunt on 3/23. This will be at 11 a.m. in the town park, free admission. We'll certainly hear more about this before that, so mark the date now, 11 a.m. Easter egg hunt, Millistown Park, free admission. And it's 11 a.m. sharp, it says. Next one we have is there's a big forum coming up on Wednesday night. It's the High School Building Project Public Forum, and this is the first of many forums to discuss the renovation to the Millis Middle High School project. This will not be giving out information, this will be soliciting information. There'll be a timeline presented, a step-by-step process described, and then information will be gathered to help design the building. And again, as I said, this is one of many. There's a website up that has a timeline that shows all of these events and everything else that's going on with it. And I've also been told to mention that it is early voting at Town Hall. Karen has voted. And one of 4 I heard today.
I was one of 4 today, so you're correct for the early voting, thank you very much.
So avoid the
The
crowds.
lines
Yes.
weren't bad
Yeah,
today.
vote
Do you
early.
want to mention that the
Yes.
forum's online?
Oh, yeah.
Because I would think.
Totally, yes.
Yeah. Also, I've just been informed to remind everybody, the forum is online for the high school building project. So there is there's a website to go to. It's Millis Schools, all one word, .org. What's the forum site? Because I'm sure it's on there.
It's,
Oh, it's millisschoolproject.com, all one
Yes.
word.
And it-
Millisschoolproject.com, and then you go to that, there'll be a link that'll take you to a Zoom site, I'm sure they'll give you the address, and then you can
yes,
attend
so it's on the
forum.
homepage of the Town of Millis website, you can also find it on the school, website.
And that's from 7 to 8:30, so, please attend. All right. First,
You're just continuing the early voting that's all week.
oh, the early voting is all week long.
Yes, and again, that is also on the homepage of the website, the times are listed, so we encourage people to come down and get their sticker.
It's important to go to the town website now, we're
Yes,
updated.
we're trying
Okay.
to keep it updated, yes.
All right, next item up is the vote to close the town meeting warrant. We have been provided a list of all the items on the warrant, and we have about 10 minutes. Let's take a minute and look at these, just to see what we got. Unpaid bills, traditional 24 items that were, FY '24 items that were missed in the budget that we have to further fund. Item 3 is a big one, that's the operating budget for the town, that's where we get to decide, or the town meeting decides how we spend our money. Item 4 is a Proposition 2.5 operating override. This would be to add supplemental funds to the operating budget, and there's a meeting tomorrow night where we'll be discussing this at the tri-board meeting. As you know, last year we had a shortfall in sped funds for the school, and that's gonna be one item that needs funded. There is no amount determined as of yet, but the sped funds were about 950 last year, so I'd anticipate something in that neighborhood. And there will be discussion about items on the municipal side that we may need to do something with too. So, more to come on that. Just giving you a heads up, this is an operational override. There will be a balanced budget presented in item 3 on the agenda, the FY25 operating budget. But that balanced budget will be significantly short from what the school needs to maintain its current staffing levels. They would have to implement 15 FTEs, that's full-time equivalent positions. That could be 2 half-time classroom aides equal 1 position. It's not all teachers necessarily, but the school absolutely needs, janitors, administrators, classroom aides, teachers, all of that to run. So it totals about 15 potential positions, but more information on that will be coming out. If Article 4 passes, it will add money to the budget and not necessitate cutting those positions. Item 5 and 6 and 7 are the enterprise funds. That's the budgets for those departments. Just some miscellaneous consent agenda items, nothing critical or tricky there. Trying to see what's on here that might be interesting. Water Enterprise Fund, lead service line inventory, just continuing the compliance project for that. Oak Grove Farm trail improvements, farmhouse renovations. That's being funded by CPC, it looks like, potentially. Good list of capital items, not shown here yet, but there will be a good list when we're done. Number 13, zoning bylaw amendment would be the MBTA Communities zoning overlay district. And this is a new piece of zoning for the town that's required by the state. So we'll be discussing and voting on that in May, May 7th. We have some other zoning, establishing a fund for the opioid settlement money we received. Library, parking lot stuff for the library contamination, just to continue that study. Returning some items back to the town that we didn't spend money on, releasing some debt authorizations. Authorizing the town administrator to sign warrants. That will be that's a fun one. For those of you that don't know, every week the 3 of us have to review and sign the payroll warrants to get people paid and the AP warrants. So this would streamline things considerably. Increased maximum abatement amount for senior work-off programs. That's interesting for you. There's another reason you've attended. Unemployment insurance fund and stabilization fund. So if we do have the opportunity, we can put things in the stabilization fund. There will be more changes to this, but we are, over time, more details added, some things shifted around. But tonight we'll be voting to close the warrant. Anybody have any comments about any of those items? On the committee? Nobody? All right.
So, Mr. Chairman, I will be recommending that the board close the warrant this evening for the spring annual town meeting of May 7th, 2024. Just for information, the board at its own discretion can vote to open the warrant again and insert or remove articles at your own discretion. But as part of the formal process, I'm asking tonight that the board take the action of closing the warrant.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, I just want to add one more thing with it. And as you said, some of these articles are on here sort of as placeholders. We don't know if they're definitely going to come forward, so you may see some of these fall off. But we wanted to kind of get a bigger picture.
This is what is known as of
This is
this
what is
time.
known.
And it's not uncommon for us to open and close it several times to add and remove items as new things come up.
Yes.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
I move that the board close the May 7th annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I think we still have 5 minutes.
We do. Which do
So
we
I
have here?
recommend perhaps we can discuss the next item beyond that, the referral to the planning board for the public hearing on the MBTA Communities Multifamily Overlay District.
All right.
Mr. Weiss is here in case there's any specific questions about it, but essentially this evening, we're requesting that the board vote to refer the proposed MBTA Communities Multifamily Overlay District zoning bylaw to the planning board for their review at a public hearing, which will be scheduled on Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. And this is a result of the work from the MBTA committee that the board established a long ways back.
Yeah, and for those that aren't familiar, the MBTA zoning requirement requires that a certain amount of land be set aside by right to allow multifamily housing at a higher density. If you've watched the news lately, Milton voted no on this in a town election, and they immediately had about 175,000, maybe it was 157,000 of funding cut to their town for a project that they were working on. So there is a carrot and there are sticks attached. I had a friend in a town, another town described it as a real juicy carrot wrapped in a bunch of sticks. There are advantages why you really want to do this. Bringing in higher density brings in economic stimulus if you design it right and if you zone it right and if you lay it out right. So that's why we're referring to the planning board. You know, it can bring in businesses that'll benefit the town because it'll be the customer base to support them. And also bring in tax revenue to the town from the additional housing. So there'll be much, much more on this as we get further into it, but this is just a step to refer it to the planning board, can give us a comment.
Okey doke. I move that the board refer the proposed MBTA Communities Multifamily Overlay District zoning bylaw to the planning board for review at a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, March 12th, 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to refer this, all in favor?
Aye.
Passed unanimous.
Thank you.
Still have 2 minutes.
Still have a couple minutes, so, Mr. Chair, I think we could probably address the next item, which is a contract with the Collins Center for a shared senior services review. As the board is aware, the town was awarded a legislative earmark last summer for $50,000 for a study to improve the facilities and services provided to Millis seniors. Unfortunately, the town of Millis, along with hundreds of other communities, had their earmark reduced or cut in half to $25,000 as part of a set of broad-based 9C cuts that was made by the governor. In your packet is a professional service agreement with the Collins Center for $25,000 to study ways to improve senior services to Millis residents by way of examining the needs of the seniors and exploring opportunities for sharing services and facilities with the town of Medway. We've met several times with officials from Medway who have expressed their strong support of all these efforts and have pledged to work closely with Millis and the staff from the Collins Center to further the stated goals. So this evening, I'm recommending that the board vote to approve the agreement with the Collins Center and to authorize me to sign it on your behalf.
All right.
Ready?
Well, questions, comments, discussion?
No, I think it's a great thing.
It's a great, yeah, we've been
we're
through
all
this a
for
few
it.
times, we finally have the contract, so we're very much in favor of it.
Let's do it before the governor cuts it in half again.
Yeah,
I move that the board approve the professional service agreement for shared services review for Millis and Medway between the town of Millis and the Edward J. Collins Jr. Center for Public Management, UMass Boston, for senior services review for a total amount of $25,000, and authorize the town administrator to sign on the town's behalf.
Second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, passes unanimously again.
Thank you very much.
And that moves us to our time.
7:15.
All right,
Perfect.
all right. Okay. So we now have an official hearing on a dangerous dog hearing, and I think we have to call this to order.
Yes.
You have to open the hearing.
All right,
I move that the board open the dangerous dog hearing regarding Hunter, a dog owned by Gary Casulo of 31 Myrtle Street.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, passes, we're open.
So, Mr. Chair, I recommend that we turn this over to town council. Steve Chaplin is with us this evening to assist us with this process as well. Aaron Millette, our ACO, is here. And so I suppose the first order of business would be to have the ACO discuss it, or is there another process you think we should move forward with?
I serve at the pleasure of the board, and I know that this board has done just fine with these hearings without me in the past, so I don't intend to come in and tell you how to do it.
Well, the last one we did, I had to swear people in, and that was
Yes.
based on my extensive viewing of Law and Order. So I'm thrilled to have somebody who actually took the bar exam sitting with us.
Yeah, so are we.
But it worked. It was all fine. So Steve, I would.
Right, do we do that first?
I would start with, I think we do have to, don't we have to swear everybody in?
We do. Everybody who's going to testify will have to swear in. I usually do them one at a time.
Okay.
So as they come up, I can
We'll
swear.
stick with your approach.
Swear in individually. Just kind of by way of context for people who might not have experienced this type of hearing before, which is probably most people, this is sort of rare. In Massachusetts, where there is a report, or I should say a complaint made of a dog that's either attacked somebody or attacked an animal or is otherwise being complained of, it actually goes to the select board as a quasi-investigative, quasi-judicial authority under a very specific statute that's pretty unique to Massachusetts. So the role of the board this evening, and my role in assisting them, is to look at the complaint and investigate the complaint. So we'll hear from the animal control officer, we'll hear from the owner if the owner's here, we'll hear from the victim or victims if the victims are here. And, I would just ask people to bear in mind this is essentially an evidentiary hearing, that's why I'm swearing people in. So we really want to limit the testimony to what people have seen with their own eyes. There'll be a little bit of exception for the animal control officer, who's obviously here in an investigatory capacity, having gathered some documents and gathered some facts. But for any other witnesses that testify, if you could try to focus on what you saw with your own eyes, heard with your own ears, that will really help the board fulfill its statutory function, which is to investigate and to determine if the dog that's the subject of the hearing fits within the statutory definition of what's called a nuisance dog, or within the statutory definition of what's called a dangerous dog. And if the board makes one of those findings, then the board has to determine what remedial measures to protect the community and other animals they may feel is necessary to issue. So just kind of a high-level summary, since this is a pretty rare and obscure area of the law, even for those of us that do it full-time.
Okay. Let's start with the animal control officer.
Sounds great.
Hey, Aaron.
Hello, good evening.
And even though I know who you are, could you state your name for the record, please?
Yes, Aaron Millette.
And raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now in hearing?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'll just give a brief synopsis just of what I know, and run through a quick timeline of events, and then give you my recommendations based on my investigation. So the following is a timeline of incidents regarding the dog owned by Gary Casulo residing at 31 Myrtle Street. On July 25th, 2018, a Facebook post was made on Millis Public Forum with a picture of Hunter in the roadway. The post states, "Just saw this guy with the collar looking lost at the corner of Myrtle and Granite." On March 5th, 2023, at approximately 10:32 p.m., IACO Millette was notified by Norfolk ACO Cohen that a motorist reported a loose German Shepherd-type dog by the high-tension wires on Myrtle Street heading towards Village Street. ACO Millette and ACO Cohen believe this dog to be Hunter, who has a known history to be loose in the roadway on Myrtle. A good neighbor letter was sent to Mary and Gary Casulo in regard to Hunter being unlicensed in the town and roaming at large the following day. The department did not receive any correspondence to the letter. June 19th, 2023, at approximately 7:09 p.m., IACO Millette received a call from Millis Police Dispatch. The caller reports a loose German Shepherd-type dog in the area of Granite Street. Police were unable to locate the dog on arrival. January 4th, 2024, at approximately 10:14 a.m., IACO Millette received a report of bite by a domestic animal. The report states the person bitten was Michelle Lipset of Millis. The report also states she received an injury to her left thumb by a German Shepherd named Hunter of 31 Myrtle Street in Millis. I telephoned Michelle in regard to the incident, and she advised me that Hunter had bitten her previously, but she did not report it. She stated that she had an appointment at the residence to get her hair done by Mary. Michelle stated that when she opened the door, Hunter lunged at her and bit her hand, and Mary quickly grabbed him back, securing him. She quickly left the residence to receive medical attention and called the Millis Police Department. Gary was not home at the time of the incident. I telephoned Gary and left a message for him to please return my call. I later spoke with Mary in regard to the incident, and she did confirm that Hunter had bitten Michelle. She told me that the dog was owned by Gary and that it was not her dog. I advised her that Hunter was being placed on a 10-day quarantine in their home. I received a phone call later from Gary. He stated he was not at home during the time of the incident. He stated his home had been robbed several years ago, so he got Hunter to protect their home. I advised him of the 10-day quarantine and of the dog roaming at large. He stated the dog goes out loose at night to scare the deer off the property. He was made aware of the leash law and advised to keep him in the yard. January 8th of 2024, I received a written complaint for a dangerous dog hearing from Michelle Lipset. The request was then forwarded to the town administrator for advisement. I would like to state for the record that I have personally never seen Hunter loose or off the property. However, given the circumstances and the information I have been provided, these are my recommendations. That the dog be humanely restrained by a leash or tethered on the property having a minimum tensile strength of 300 pounds, and when removed from the property, the dog shall be securely and humanely muzzled and leashed.
Okay.
Does the board have any questions?
Yes.
Continue.
I thought I saw somewhere on some piece of paper, is the dog vaccinated and now registered?
Yes, he's licensed.
Licensed,
Yes.
okay.
They did license him after I originally sent the good neighbor letter.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I think that was it right now. Thank you.
I'm good.
I'm good too.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Town Council, who would you like to call up next, in your opinion?
I like to call the owner next.
I would too.
Because
perfect.
oftentimes, we don't have a dispute necessarily as to what happened, and then if we're all in agreement with what happened, it can make your job a lot easier and eliminate some of the back and forth.
We may not even need you next time. Just taking notes.
You did just fine without me last time, I'm quite honest.
I was all over the place.
Oh, yeah, no, we were a mess last
Yeah, let's
time.
bring up the owner and let's do that.
Do we have either of the owners in
We
attendance?
do.
Come on forward, folks.
I thought Gary was the owner.
I'm his daughter.
Okay, but I thought Gary was the owner in this.
Well, we all own the dog.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a family dog.
Are you Gary?
Yes.
yeah,
Can you come up as well?
Can I stay?
Absolutely. Yep.
sure.
Going to make an exception to my earlier rule. I'm going to swear you in simultaneously.
Okay.
You just each state your name for the record, and then I'll swear you in.
Okay.
Gary Casula?
Vanessa Casula.
Would you each raise your right hand, other hand?
Your other right hand, Gary.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now in hearing?
I do.
I do.
Thank you, Paul. My preliminary question, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Continue.
Have you had an opportunity to review the report of the animal control officer?
Very quickly, because we received it Saturday, I believe.
Okay. And did you hear the testimony that the animal control officer just gave?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you dispute or disagree with any of the materials or the matters that were communicated to the board? Okay, so we're all in agreement.
Right, but I just want to say that all the reports of the dog being loose is at night, late at night, that's the only time I let it out. It's like after 10:30, usually 10 to 10:30. So he could go out and, like I say, chase the deer off the property because they eat all the bushes. So that's the main reason he goes out at night.
Okay, and my only follow-up, and then I'll let the board do their job. What, if anything, would you like to tell us about the January 4th bite incident?
I wasn't there for that, so I really have nothing to add to it.
Is there anybody here tonight who was a witness to that incident?
Yes, Mary.
Okay. We could, like to ask them questions later, but if the board has any questions for these
No,
witnesses?
I'd like to hear about the bite incident when it gets time with Mary, but.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you want to-
No, go ahead.
So you let the dog out late at night,
Mhm.
but you know Millis has a leash law.
Correct.
So you just thought that's okay, because it's late at
Well,
night.
I live on the outskirts of town.
I know where you
and
live.
Wise, so I thought you'd just go out and run and have a little fun late at night.
Okay, when did that stop?
It stopped after the bite for the most part. I
Okay.
just said no more of that. And-
Okay.
And then the dog officer, after speaking with the dog officer, she informed me it was the wrong thing to do, so I stopped
Okay,
doing it.
so it has stopped?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
that's all I got.
I'm good.
All right, no further questions. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
He's not like an aggressive dog, he's just protective, because he knows that, like, when we were broken into as a child, like, I was unsafe in my house, so he makes me feel safe now, so. And I know that we need to take actions to make sure that he's a little bit better trained when it comes to people entering the house. But, from what I know, that the woman that entered the house, didn't knock and she just entered, and I guess he thought that she was breaking in, so.
I'll get that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, appreciate that. All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
Can we bring up Mary, do you think, to give us what happened that day?
Exactly.
Yeah. Not trying to overstep here.
You're
Sign.
running the
Just
meeting.
saying, make sure you're using the microphones so
Yeah.
that they can hear you.
Okay.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Mary Casullo.
And can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now in hearing?
Yes, I
Thank
do.
you. And could you please tell us what happened on January 4th, the bite incident?
It was just as they said, she came to the house and she entered the home without knocking, and the dog put her hand, she was actually coming up the cellar stairs, so when she got to his level, they were both eye to eye, and she put her hand up and he bit her hand. And then I was in the kitchen, so then I came around and I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? I didn't know you were here. And then that was it. We wrapped it up. She went to the urgent care.
But you said you were in the kitchen. Did you see it or not see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Well, you didn't see it.
No.
Okay, so everything you just said, you don't really know.
Well, she did come up the cellar stairs and opened the door, and the dog bit her. I didn't see it, but yeah, I guess I don't know. Now that you
You know that
mentioned
there was a
it.
bite, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, I'm just, okay, you have a good point.
well, every now and then, a broken clock.
Yeah. Okay, anything else from the board?
No, I'm good. You okay?
So, yeah. I think
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I didn't know if you-
Oh, in the back? Who- What's your name?
Jai LeBlanc.
Should we hear
I would go with the
victim first?
victim next.
Okay.
And then you can, yeah.
And then we can hear from other folks. Is that you? Good evening. Could you please state your name for the record?
Yes, Michelle Lipset.
Thank you, and please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now in hearing?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And could you just tell us about what happened from your perspective, please?
Sure. Mary's been my hairdresser for 10 years. I've had a good relationship with her. The first time I entered the home, she told me to come in, and we were talking, and all of a sudden the dog just looked at me and attacked me, just like that. I didn't press charges, I didn't need to be hospitalized, but after that, they told me the dog was aggressive, but protective for whatever reason. About, back in the January before, I was over the house, Mary told me to come in through the backyard, that the dog was tethered. I started coming through the backyard, and she said, Mickey, run, and she's screaming at me, run. So I start running to the house. Thank God I didn't turn around. The dog got loose and was after me. The last time was January 3rd. She told me last May that Gary and the dog were now in the back residence, that they were divorced. She had been dating for 3 years, this other guy. I had a 5 o'clock appointment. Everything was verified. Everything was text. She texted me. She was just about to pull in her driveway. It was like 5:01. I said, I'm right behind you. I have all the texts. I showed Erin. And I said, I was in the driveway. I said, I'm here. Meanwhile, being told last May that the dog and the husband were in the back property. So I came into the garage like I usually do. I came up the steps, I knocked on the door, opened the door, and the dog's head came flying out at me. Now, the dog went after my face, so I put my hands up. I was below the dog. It was so frightening, still frightening. And yeah, the rest is history. I drove myself to the hospital. Still being treated for my injuries, out of work.
For the right.
But the injury, the only injury from the 3 or 4 different instances is the finger, the hand?
No, the thumb,
Yeah.
bit through the thumb joint
Yeah,
and my index finger.
okay.
I was in wound care for 6 weeks, just graduated 2 weeks ago. Started occupational therapy, I just left there today. I see my hand specialist, orthopedic surgeon again Friday, still considering surgery. Yeah. And like I said, thought I was doing them a favor the first time I got hit by the dog, you know? But I wasn't doing anybody a favor. I don't blame the dog.
Right.
I love animals.
How long ago was the first alleged attack?
I can't recall, but it was like 10 years ago, because it was like the first time I went over there to get my hair done.
How old is this dog? Anybody know?
8, not even 8 yet.
Okay,
It'll be 8 in June.
so a little less than 10, but,
Yeah.
okay.
Any other questions from the,
I'm good.
okay.
And nothing further from me. No, I
How's that?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I think we had maybe one other person who
Yeah.
wanted to testify.
Yeah, if you'd like to come up now, yeah.
Hi, Jacquard LeBlanc, 30 Myrtle Street.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now in hearing?
I do.
Thank you.
So I'm here because I live at 30 Myrtle, so I'm kind of catty corner. And my concern is that this dog, and did you have a prior German Shepherd? Is that the one you have? Is often out during the day, and kind of our local neighborhood sees him and is concerned because we're concerned he's going to get hit by a car, because people whip through the stop sign, and the dog is out and is running down the street, or, you know, comes into my yard, comes into other yards. So I'm concerned that it's not just at night that the dog is being let out, that during the day the dog is out. And again, it's not about the dog, you know, the dog is a dog. He's but for the safety of the dog, I would like to know if there's something that can be done. And again, it's not every day, but it's enough times that it would be good to know that there was something that was being done for the dog's safety during the day. So that's what I wanted to testify about.
Just a quick question. Has that been continuing since January?
I don't recall seeing the dog since January in the street, no.
Okay. No, because that's when we
Right.
heard
What-
that it stopped.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anybody else wishing to testify? Maybe a good time for a motion to close the hearing?
Yeah.
Okey-doke. I like him. He tells me when to. He doesn't give a look at me like,
I stare at you.
you
cues
know,
are subtle.
nasty look. It's polite. I think we need a motion.
Please, let's have a motion.
Already rubbing off. Okay, where are we? Don't tell me. I move that the board close the dangerous dog hearing.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the dangerous dog hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
It was very nicely done, Ellen.
Thank you.
Okay.
Goes a long way.
Yeah, it
Sorry,
does.
go ahead.
All right, so now we get to deliberate and discuss what's going on with it. And we could still ask questions to Aaron if we chose, correct?
You can, yes, and maybe to streamline the process, it's sort of a two-step inquiry under the statute. Step one is, does the dog fit within the definition of dangerous or the definition of nuisance, which actually comes from a different statute, section 136A, but I circulated this nifty handout as we started the hearing. And that's It's sort of like the Mead, Talleyrand, and Costa version of the Godfather trilogy, put in chronological order, so that you can just go from the beginning. So the definitions are actually right at the top. And just for the benefit of those who may be following, if you find that the dog is a nuisance dog, then you have to decide what remedial measures to take. If you find the dog is a dangerous dog, there's 7 options that the statute enumerates. If you find neither dangerous nor nuisance, then the hearing would be over at that point.
Well, reading those two over, I don't believe it falls under dangerous, because the attack occurred at the home and the resident. Unless I'm misreading that, you know, a dog is a protective animal, and so, but I don't know if anybody else has opinion on that as well.
Well, yeah, well, it's the very first thing. I thought, a dangerous dog, we had that a few months ago,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Quite different. There was the one event. I think if there's another event, we're in trouble. But
Yeah.
at this stage of the game, I'm more inclined on the nuisance piece.
I think I'd agree, yeah, I think I'd agree, especially because it happened at the house. You know, looking at the difference between nuisance and dangerous, you know, both can incur some form of an attack. But I think also, you know, the animal acting in its own, you know, house is a little bit different than the one we saw before. Well, a lot different than the one we saw before,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I agree on the nuisance. If this was out on the street, if it was out in front of the house, if it was anywhere but inside the house, I'd have a different view on it. But this seems like, while it is an issue and it is an attack, it's not, I mean, it says grossly or disproportionate reaction under all the circumstances.
Right.
It is a protective animal, it is there for protection, it was inside the house. So it's not a good thing, but it doesn't raise the level of dangerous, in my opinion, looking at it. All right, so we have to take a vote on that. I
Okay.
think.
Sounds like someone would like to make a motion,
You
perhaps.
think? Huh? I'm liking.
I teed it up nicely for you,
You did
I
tee it
thought.
up nicely. I move that the board deem Hunter a nuisance dog and impose is that it? And then impose or impose?
We'll discuss imposing that.
Okay,
I
a
think.
nuisance dog, period.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to declare Hunter a nuisance dog. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay.
Next, we have to look at the recommendation for what to do with a dog that's been declared a nuisance dog in this case. And I wouldn't mind bringing Erin back up. I know she's given us a written recommendation, but I'd like to hear what she has to say on what we should
And Mr. Chair, I just
do.
want to ask town council, so you said we do not need to list the kind of findings of fact during the hearing? Typically, there's a list of like, everybody agrees that this, and this,
We-
that doesn't need to happen,
We typically list those in the written decision,
but not here.
but we don't need to take a formal vote during the hearing,
All right, perfect, thank you.
unless the board wants to.
No, I don't believe there's a
Ellen doesn't
motion
want
for
to make any
that.
more motions.
I don't have a
That's fine.
motion, so we can't.
All right.
All right,
Erin,
you.
if you could give us your recommendation, please?
Sure. So my recommendation is that the dog be humanely restrained by a leash or tethered on the property having a minimum tensile strength of 300 pounds. And that when removed from the property, the dog shall be securely and humanely muzzled and leashed. Those are my recommendations.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the board?
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chair?
The public hearing's over. I'm sorry.
I just have a little question. So that would be different than if we deemed the dog dangerous, correct? The remedy?
The remedy, yes, I mean, you can still impose.
No, I'm just asking for like the public,
Yes,
because they don't have this in front of them.
yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and when you say restrained or leashed on the property, so even in the backyard of the property, if it's fenced and all of that?
Yeah, if he's outside, he's gotta be on a
Okay.
leash, he can't be running around.
But if he's fenced,
You could fence them.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that too, but that's if they have a big property, I don't know if
Yeah.
they wanna put up a fence. Or, I mean, a dog pen would be fine if they wanna enclose him in a dog pen, but he can't be loose on the property.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
I'm good.
I'll take a motion.
Oh,
Would you like to make another motion?
I would love to make another motion. So I move that impose the following remedial measures. One, hunter be humanely restrained by a leash or tethered on the property having a minimum tensile strength of 300 pounds. And two, when removed from the property, hunter shall be securely and humanely muzzled and leashed.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to impose the leashing on the property with up to 300-pound tensile string, and when removed from the property, humanely and securely muzzled and leashed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. All right, I think that's it for this item.
I think so.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank
And
you.
you understand the terms?
Yes.
Okay, work with Aaron if you have any questions.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
You're very
Now,
Thank
it
you.
feels like everything else
I'm gonna
tonight's
miss you
anti.
at the next meeting.
I've been told I'm not nice enough.
No,
All right,
he'll get there.
I'll try.
But that went way smoother with having someone else here, I'm just saying. No offense to the board.
I am right down the street, so.
Yeah.
Did we do an evaluation on Karen too?
I mean, you did watch the last one, right?
No,
Yeah,
that
I'm
was
in your
great.
building.
That was
I'm in
great.
Jay's office.
Okay.
Oh, no, I thought you lived here.
Oh, no, no.
Because I have some papers you could sign if you lived here. No. All right.
No, I can't sign nominating papers.
All right.
Okay,
Live in
Okay.
Hopedale, which is easily confused with Millis,
Yeah.
but,
right.
All right, the next thing we have is the ratification of the collective bargaining contract. Is that right?
That is correct.
I haven't
So-
skipped anything?
Okay, so
sure,
that's,
you can speak to that. You
this
did all
is for
the
the
work.
SEIU union, which is comprised of many employees here at Town Hall as well as library employees. And we've been working on trying to integrate all of the different MOUs, memorandum of understandings, into one cohesive document for quite some time. We have finally done so. This has gone before the SEIU. They are in agreement that everything is in there properly. So if you are also in agreement, we will sign again. And when we start bargaining in the fall, we will officially,
This will make life much easier.
yes. We're
moving
doing this with
forward.
all of our,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, great.
And as Karen said, this is the major undertaking because of the last several contract negotiations we've had to look through. The base contract and,
3 or 4 MOUs.
yeah, 3 or 4 agreements
Yes.
of memos of understanding, and it makes it very confusing to know what you're voting on. So this is an ongoing process.
Correct.
Thrilled to see it going. Any
Yes.
questions or comments?
Nope.
So you've seen fire, police, SEIU, I'm gonna start DPW. So we're getting there.
All right.
Yeah, I remember we went around for 3 meetings about vacation time in DPW, I think, it was sick
Oh,
time.
it's, yeah.
Flipping back and forth between
It's
different
just-
understandings.
Not the way it was handled in
Yeah.
previous administration. We are changing it. All good.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
ready?
Yes.
I move that the board ratify the integrated collective bargaining agreement between the SEIU and the town of Millis as written.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Pass unanimous.
Thank
Thank
All
you.
right. Next item up we have is the board and committee liaison update.
My favorite part.
I
I've
know.
got 3.
He's killing us,
I do.
killing us.
I had 2 in one night a while back. That was
I had 2 in one night, too.
excellent. Well, they're the same one. I went from one topic to an entirely different topic.
All right, you win on that one.
All right.
Yeah.
Continue.
So first, we had the PBC on the 13th. We talked about the Lansing building. They're having a hard time getting quotes because it's more of a preliminary quote, and it's not like it's out to bid type of a quote. So they're having trouble getting some numbers. They talked about meeting with a mason that weekend to talk about some flooding in the basement. It might be due to lack of gutters or apron work that's there. But they're very much so looking forward to moving forward with that building and getting the state funds to work on the roof and
Where are we
so
with
forth.
that, do you know?
The information has been put into the state.
Great.
I've been in contact with the senator's office on a regular basis, and we're supposed to hear, at the latest, we should hear by April,
Great.
whether or not we're receiving those funds this year.
Oh, Lord.
And then if I win the lottery, I'll open a business there.
Great.
Right, a knitting business.
Yes, the yarn shop.
That sounds
I'll
fabulous.
invite you to the Economic Development Committee to tell us what you're doing there.
Okay,
Great.
perfect. And then we had the SBC meeting, the School Building Committee meeting. We talked about the preliminary design proposal. They had a couple different pictures to show us. Many of the classrooms are undersized as it is right now, as is the gym by 100 square feet. And the school's currently missing tech and STEAM space as well as art space. So they're, looking at the building needs and the sizes of the classrooms and the spaces that would be required. And, next up is the community forum that they'll be getting information from the community at that time. And it's just one of, as Craig said, many planned outreach. So that's coming up. And then on the 22nd, I had the Community Preservation Commission. We approved their annual motion for town meeting. They discussed the Oak Grove Trail improvements. They needed some more money towards that. But there's some changes in their plan, so that's going to go to the Conservation Commission first, and then back to the CPC. Also, there was significant discussion about the farmhouse. It apparently needs significant renovations. So that also went to the CPC for some requests for funding. It is on the building is on the historical register though, so there may be, other money available, but they were talking, like the cost of a new house, significant in terms of repairs that are needed. They also, interestingly enough, there are currently no tenants in that.
I was gonna ask you, did the tenant move out?
Yes,
I
the
had
tenant
heard-
moved out.
I had heard that,
Yeah.
just recent though,
Yes,
like really recent.
yes.
And they can't lease it in the condition it's in?
Apparently, they left it in a decent condition, but there's a process in place where there'll be a search for a new tenant with, some caretaker responsibilities. And I would gather that the rent would be significantly more expensive than it previously was.
Right.
So, Mr. Chair, or through the chair, we are working currently on putting it out to bid. So you have to actually
So-
put it out to bid for the lease, so people can bid on the apartment.
You basically have to put out an RFP
Yes,
to.
To get a tenant.
To get a tenant,
yes.
because it's a municipal.
But has
This is-
anybody walked through it? Is it habitable?
We're in that process now.
Yeah.
You-
I'm hoping to get over there in the next week or so to take a
Right.
look at it.
So we've been
Um,
working with.
Habitable, like kids' Eastie apartment, which was just right on the other side of that line, or?
I mean, the repairs
So-
and
right.
stuff that are needed have to do with, the roof and the
Right.
areas around the roof, there's some rotting, and there's some things like that, shoring up the masonry at the basement, stuff like that doesn't necessarily impact the apartment itself.
Okay.
So from what they said at that meeting, it was left in a great condition, provided.
Right.
I mean,
The
those tenants were
exterior,
there for.
30
I don't know,
years.
30 years.
Yeah, they did a
The
lot of-
same tenants, so
they
they
maintained-
retired and moved
You know,
out.
they mowed.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
And so now,
They did a
right,
lot.
we have to go through this
3,500 a month
process.
in Boston.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they,
So, yeah, we're in the process of working with council to work on that
Yeah.
RFP, and that will determine, again, what do they really need to take care of.
one thing that came up, though, that was really interesting, and I don't know if it's come to you guys yet, but the possibility of having some kind of a revolving fund for the rent that is generated by that property to go into a revolving fund for the purposes of, maintaining that property.
But where does the money come from now?
It goes to the general fund now.
and then it comes out of that to maintain it?
Well, no, there's no,
We have it maintained?
we don't have like
There's no
a,
transfer back. It's something to
No.
consider. I,
You can certainly take a look at
Yeah.
that, and I'll speak with the finance director about the legal aspects of that.
Yeah.
So then the
Yeah.
board
Yeah,
can
that's the
determine if
biggest
it's something you
question.
want to do.
if it's, yeah, because even if it is legal, we have to decide whether it's the right move for the town budgets. If it's not legal, we're pretty much set,
Right.
we know we can
If
do.
it-
Yeah.
If it's a short amount, it might not make a difference.
Right,
But again,
exactly.
if the rent ends up being much higher, you're
Yeah.
losing a source of revenue.
Well, I would see it that if it's a little bit that we have to replace, if it goes up in rent and that maintains the building, that, it doesn't hurt us any, it just is the opportunity cost
Right.
of the rent.
Right.
Right. All right,
Okay,
and that there's one at-large position on the CPC. So if anybody's interested in joining the CPC, there is a position open. So don't all jump at once, but it
what's
was,
the term? Do you know?
you know what, I don't know.
Oh,
I think if it's at large,
don't
it's
either.
1 year, but it could be
Oh,
3.
yes, yes.
It could be
I
3,
do
but
think it
I want to
is.
say, I should know this by now. Usually at large is 1, but for some reason CPC I think is 3.
Okay, yeah, I think
can
it is a
find out.
1 year at large, yeah. So, that was it for me.
okay, well, that's enough.
yeah.
That's you busy.
I
I hear
had
you have two.
I had two meetings. I had the Charles River Pollution Control. They meet every third Thursday at 3 o'clock, but not a lot happening there. Their meeting was done quicker than our meetings. It was like 12 minutes and I was out of there, so nothing. And again, Millis, we should get that committee or somebody in here because I don't think anybody has hooked on that we have not allocated space for since we
right.
started this mess almost 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
no new hookups.
I
Yeah,
don't believe so. That
yeah.
hasn't been accounted for.
Right, exactly. No out of the blue
Nope.
hookups. Yeah.
That's number one. And number two, I had the Energy Committee, which was actually very good. So they're drafting a thing, an RFP, to get help drafting their 50-year net zero energy plan. So Bob created a template that was like 20 pages, and then John got it down to like 8 pages, and then I got it down to 4. So we're going to see how
Excellent.
that
Yeah.
works. We're meeting in a couple more weeks. We jammed another meeting in because they want to get it out.
Okay, good.
Yep.
I had just one, Capital Planning Committee, we met, we discussed the town hall needs pretty much. There'll be many other items coming to them. We probably have enough free cash this year left over to fund most, if not all, of the items that are being requested. But we'll have to have a conversation about if we want to save any of that free cash for future budget years, we may not have a surplus. You know, do we want to start banking some money now at some point? But it looks like we're going to get all the information in from the capital planning. They'll prioritize, we'll then look over their priority list, see how much money we want to allocate to it, and then vote to put it on the warrant. We're still a ways out still for that.
Okay,
All right, that's it.
very good.
If there's anything you would like to make a motion on.
I would.
Yeah.
Well, no.
No, there's still a motion.
Yeah, the minutes.
Yeah.
So do you say anything, or do I just say it?
You just say it.
I just say
You
it?
have the minutes of,
So we
the
have a
5th
couple
and
more
the 12th.
meeting minutes, and I think we're squarely in 2024, right? Unbelievable. I move that the board approve the draft minutes of 2/5/24 and 2/12/24 as written.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, passes unanimously.
Yep.
And anybody have anything else they'd like to add?
I do. I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.